Ahora inicia Fraude al Desnudo con Marta Cadavit. Transmisiones en vivo cada semana. Mira las transmisiones de nuevo en nuestras plataformas digitales. ¿Estás listo para aprender y compartir las mejores prácticas de la industria de administración de riesgos?
Hola, muy buenas tardes a todos. Bienvenidos a una cápsula más de Fraude al Desnudo. Hoy estoy así con una invitada súper especial. Muy posiblemente ustedes ya me han escuchado hablar de ella. Ella es Amanda Jo Erven. Y se acuerdan cuando yo les cuento de un evento muy especial al que he asistido ya en 2 oportunidades en Denver, Colorado, que se llama The Fraud Retreat. Es como hablar del retiro del fraude, como cuando uno tiene un retiro espiritual, pero en vez de hacer la parte espiritual, vamos a hablar de fraude. Es una mujer a la que yo admiro montones. Para mí es uno de los role models que tenemos que seguir como auditores, examinadores de fraude, como profesionales. Y hoy tengo el placer de tenerla acá. Para mí es un gustazo, aparte de que por aquí tengo su libro. Vamos a cambiar a inglés para que podamos empezar esta magnífica conversación. Hello, Amanda. Thank you so much for being here at Fraude al Desnudo Naked Fraud. How are you today?
I am so good. And I don't know what all you just said, but I did pick up a few words and it sounded fantastic.
I was talking about horrible things about you.
Yeah, it sounded bad. It sounded, no.
No, technically, I was doing the introduction about the Fraud Retreat and your book. And I told everybody that I admire you for your career. You are a wonderful auditor and also certified fraud examiner and also a wonderful writer. I love this book. The way that you write about ethics, I think is very nice and fluid, easy to understand. And I love something that you say here is nothing is black and white. Most things are gray. But before to start to talk about different topics, we would like to know something about you. Can you tell us who is Amanda?
Yes, sure. So I think my most exciting life change in the last couple of years has been becoming a full-time professor. So, yeah. You know, I have loved teaching and training my entire life. But to be able to say that somebody actually employs me to teach students these days is just a huge honor to me. And so I'd say my role as an internal audit educator is my favorite thing. And I've been full-time for about 2 years now. It's almost been 2 years. And, you know, I've been in internal audit for almost 20 years, started in external audit doing financial audits, right? And then moved more into operations. But it's my passion. And so to be able to teach your passion it's really nice, right? It's great. So
I think it's not a job. When we had this wonderful opportunity to work with our passion, yes, and make money and help people, I think the life is much easier. I am so grateful because I feel the same thing.
Yes.
So you say that have been a teacher for 2 years. I think since you have the experience to be a certified fraud examiner and auditor, mm-hmm, I can imagine that you are putting all of this experience in the classes. So it has to be amazing to be your student. Well, it's possible that everything that you know, just put it in a class?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously with universities, there's more rules and guidelines that you have to follow, but I do love rules, right? But I love being able to bring the real world practical nice. And yeah, we do case studies. I bring my professional network into my classroom. They guest speak. Nice. I actually give all of my grad students a mentor, you know, because I want them to learn not just from me, but from my amazing network like you. And all of my auditor friends that are out there doing the work. I want them to learn from them as well. So yes, bringing the real world into my classroom is what I love to do.
I think it's a key part because unfortunately, I'm talking about my ecosystem, let's call it that way. One of the biggest problems that we have today with young people who are professionals now, they finish university as an accountant, for example, or business administrator, and then they had to face challenges in the organizations. And one of the challenges is the ethical part. So since they don't know how to deal with these things, sometimes they cross the line about the things that they cannot do because they are not able to say no, for example, or because they are not able to understand the intention,
Well,
or they feel afraid.
Yes, you teach pressure as a part of the fraud triangle. We know pressure is there, and that is something that's hard to teach. So, yes. One of the things I try to instill in my students is to just have your own personal values and always stay true to them. If you don't have them, you might, I've got some values, but if you don't verbalize them and you don't just make them a part of your being, it's so much harder to fall prey to those pressures if you have them and they're solid and you know what you're all about. So that's a lot of what I work with my students on too.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I really thank you about for you, because we need people like you teaching the real cases in universities. That's very important nowadays.
Well, Marta, you'd be so surprised. My students get, when they hear something that happens in the real world, and they're in shock, like that really happens sometimes. And it's kind of a reality check. You have to tell them these things do happen. You might face them. Don't be surprised by anything you see.
At least they are surprised. It would be worse if they say, "Oh yeah, I know that."
Exactly. That is true. That is true. Good point.
At least they are still warm in their soul and their heart, right. And just like, "Oh, I cannot believe this is possible." Okay, yes, take it easy, but it's possible.
It is. Yes.
Okay. Exactly. Amanda, let's talk about this wonderful book.
Okay.
Who inspired you to write this book?
Well, so I'm going to hold up another book. So this book, can you all see, got written first.
I don't have it.
You don't have it? I've got to make sure you get it. I'm going to make sure you get it. This is more of, you know how Kelly Paxton calls her book a pamphlet? This is like my pamphlet, right? This is not that Kelly's book is not a pamphlet, and neither is this, but it's shorter, it's smaller, and only one chapter is about ethics. And what I write about in Your Road, Your Choices are 6 key choices that I think we all have in life. And one of them is our character choice, and how important it is for us to know our own ethics and to live that character choice every day. So I wrote one chapter. It's probably 15 pages in this book. And then in 2020, we all know that thing called the pandemic hit, right? You know, that thing we don't want to remember anymore. But I wasn't speaking a whole lot. Actually, I was teaching that semester. My classes ended in March. And I decided it was time to expand on the ethics on every chapter. And so that's really, I got started, in small dabbles. And then I decided I wanted to expand into, this is about personal ethics, right? The book that you're holding up, The Everyday Ethicist, is about personal ethics, leadership ethics, and then it goes on to organizational ethics. So I wanted to take this concept of ethics and apply it to every part of our lives. And we're all leaders, and we're all a part of some sort of organization, whether that's a nonprofit, a company that we work for, a volunteer organization we work with, our churches. I mean, we're all a part of an organization. So what does it look like to have an ethical one, and what processes and values do they need to have? So anyway, so that was kind of my inspiration. It kind of started small and then got bigger during the pandemic.
Nice. Julian and I, my partner and I, opened a Pandora box years ago to talk about ethics, but I want to be clear, we are very unresponsible because we don't know anything about ethics. The only information that we have is the information that we can get in during the time when we work with Fraud Explorer. And it's because people can be ethical today, but not tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's not like a stage for the rest of your life. It's something like it depends on the situation.
It's a
So
choice.
that's why, yeah, sometimes Julian says is ethics is not absolute. It's a relative term or situation.
Yes.
And then when I was reading your book, I found out that there are gray areas. So we can call this like a gray areas.
Mm-hmm.
So how we can address these gray areas in the company, in a corporate system, in a corporate arena?
In my opinion, while I do agree there are gray areas, I think it goes back to what I was saying. I try to instill in my students is that we all individually have to make a choice of our black and white, right? What is our right and wrong? And the problem is with organizations is you have a bunch of different individuals with their own idea of black and white. Yes. And that's where the gray area comes into play. It's not necessarily that there is a gray area. It's just that everybody's opinion and idea of ethics is very different. And at an organization, unless you are very explicit about what is the right practice and the right thing to do, you know, that's where if you don't have that outlined and very, very clear and communicated and employees are held accountable to it, people are going to decide for themselves. And
excellent.
So to me, it is, as you know, I'm an auditor. I love policies. I love rules. I love, you know, procedures. And when it comes to ethics, you have to have a firm stance. And while there always might be something that you have to review in, you know, in detail when it comes up, I think those are experiences that then you need to figure out, how do we build this into our policy? And because the world is changing. I mean, we know technology is changing everything, and we're having to rethink ethics all the time, just along with everything else we do. But we have got to get that into a firm stance within our organizations.
Yes, I think it's a mistake when we, as a managers, as a CEOs, as a CFOs, we believe that everybody has the same standards when they go to the company to work. Or when they are connected to the computer and they are working for the company or the organization. We have to create these standards. And that's why it's very important to be clear with the tone of the head. So what are the expectations of the companies are? This is the most important thing. We can assume that everybody is going to behave in the company.
No, we cannot. No. Okay, so I have to give an example really quickly.
That's right.
Airbnbs, right? The houses that people stay at, right? It's a great company that provides, you know, this option for travelers, someplace to stay. Well, their CEO spoke at a commencement ceremony, and he literally stood up and said, one of Airbnb's values, integrity and ethics, is not one of Airbnb's values. And, you know, you kind of have that, like, I have that shock reaction to that, right? Like, what do you mean? And he followed that up by saying it should be inherent in every one of our employees' actions. Like, it should be what they're built on. But my kind of disagreement to that is, sadly, we know the world we live in today, and we cannot make that assumption. So just like you just said, we cannot assume that somebody might think of acting with ethics and integrity very differently than the next person.
Yes.
So you cannot leave that open to discussion, right? Or open to determination by person. You have to set the standard, like you said, at the tone at the top. And I went when he said that. So
it's a wonderful example. I'm going to look for that information to explain to my people in Spanish, because we have been discussing these things, Amanda, and sometimes it's an uncomfortable conversation, because in my case, people speak about ethics, and sometimes they don't know what ethics means. In conclusion, is do the right thing. But the right thing could be a different meaning for you and me and everybody. Or sometimes people believe that don't steal is good, but cheat is good, but cheat is normal.
Yeah.
Cheating is fine. So it's important to create the standards for the organization. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I come from an accounting background where there's this idea of immaterial, right? Oh, it's okay if it's close. And one of the things I tell my students is there's no materiality in ethics.
No, it doesn't exist.
No, yeah, we know it's a slippery slope, and one little thing can lead to something really big. And
yes,
I think that's important. Yeah,
it's amazing. Let's talk about the Fraud retreat.
Okay.
You have been my perfect example in Latin America when sometimes I go to, let's call it small events. So we had the big conferences like the global conference for ACFE, or the conference for internal auditors, even in Latin America by regions or the globe. So we are talking about 3,000 people, 4,000 people going to a conference.
Right.
But I also speaking in a small conference with 200 people, 300 people, or 150 people.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, no, that's too small. And I say, wait a minute. You don't know the magical part to be in a small event. And then I take my purse and I take my example about you, and I say, okay, let me tell the story about Amanda and the Fraud retreat. It's amazing. And I tell everybody that we have Legos on the table because we cannot fall asleep. Okay. We have made blankets to donate to the Children's Hospital.
I have one if you want me to hold it up.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm going to say, go.
Okay, here's one. So everybody can see
there we are.
The blankets that we made. Everybody tied these.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. And they say, wait a minute, what? They say, yeah. So it's a fraud conference with wonderful speakers talking about the most significant cases in United States, talking about the best practices and learning a lot. And it's very intense.
It does go by. The 2 days go by very quickly. There's a lot. It's jam-packed. Yes.
Yes. We don't have time. Just we can go just to the bathroom and maybe have a 1 hour for lunch, but it's very intense, and I love it.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, you are a wonderful example for that. Tell us, what do you have this idea to create the Fraud retreat?
Yeah, so the word retreat really kind of nails, like hits it for me, because retreat means smaller, right? And when I originally had this idea, I was kind of tired of the big conferences, and not because they're not great and don't have fantastic content, but you don't get to, it's almost too overwhelming to talk to the people there. And, and the speakers on stage are like, oh, they're on stage, right? It's like they're famous, right? And so the idea was to bring the speakers into the conference, and like I wanted them to attend. So most of the speakers, like yourself, attend the whole 2 days. That way the participants can continue the conversation after you get off the stage. And that was the idea, right? To keep it small enough so that conversations can continue for 48 hours, basically. And even before and after that, we try to keep it as a network. So that's the most important thing to me.
Yes, I love it. I can add something. It's more, how can I say, the intimacy, can I say? It's like a more private. It's like people don't feel afraid to ask, because in a big conference, everybody is busy looking for the next room.
Yes.
Absolutely. And sometimes there are no clothes.
Yes. Sometimes you need, like, you're running. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Or you know where the room is, but it's full.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's full.
Yes.
So it's good to be part of a big event. It's good, but small conferences, events like you have created are amazing, because I feel more confident asking, talking to people during the 2 days that we are there. And I think the quality of the speakers it's better.
Well,
It's my perception.
so I've done it for 3 years, and so I have to say I am worried about keeping the tradition of such fantastic speakers alive, because it's hard. I mean, we have a ton of people in our fraud community, but it is like I've had such good luck. I'm very blessed to have had amazing speakers, and we have 20. I think in 2024 we had 21 speakers, so that's a lot, right? And like you said, and so anyway, so I have not committed to 2025 yet, but I know I always have good connections reaching out about speaking, and so anyway, so to be determined. But
Amanda,
yes.
it's going to be amazing.
Okay.
100% sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, last topic.
Okay.
Auditing on fraud.
Yes.
Okay. In my experience, I have been so critical for people because they say, you are an auditor, you need to know about fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And I have these answers. Well, I am third line. I don't need to be, just let me know when I have to go.
Yes.
Or it's not part of my job. Okay.
I hate
but
that.
I say no. Everybody has to learn about fraud. So the fraud policy, the fraud risk management program, or at least the concept has to be important for everybody in the company, not only for the fraud investigator. Okay.
Yes.
So since you have these two roles, and you know these two roles very well, and now you are the authority because you are teaching. Okay. Oh,
yeah.
I would like to know your personal opinion. Of course, it's not going to be bad for anybody, but
yeah, right.
in your personal opinion, what do you think about auditing and the combination of the fraud risk management?
Well, I'm going to tell you from my personal experience.
Yes.
I got my certified fraud examiner certificate in 2014, so 10 years ago, before I got my certified internal auditor certificate designation. Great. And I'm going to tell you, it was out of necessity. Working in internal audit, I worked for a financial services company, and we were starting to get hit by frauds left and right, because I worked for a retirement company. We held people's retirement money, and fraudsters stopped going after people's bank accounts and started going after their 401ks and their retirement accounts. And so we had to come up with continuous monitoring procedures for identity theft, for money going out to the same bank account, right? Like, we had to learn the analytics to look for fraud. And I and a couple of my staff members went out and got our CFEs because of how important it was for internal audit to play a role in that monitoring. And so to me, it's such a bad excuse to say it's not part of my job, because I agree with you 100%. It's everybody's job. Yes. And there is no excuse, especially for auditors that have the knowledge and the skills and the abilities. Why would you not help your organization try to spot it? I think that's my comeback to it, is why would you not want to, right? That's my answer.
No, it's I love it. I love it because listening to you about your personal opinion is just to clarify everybody that it's a responsibility that everybody in the company has to embrace. It doesn't matter if it's the the person who is doing just an operation thing, or the CEO is for everybody, but and also as an auditors, we need to understand that it's very important to have this knowledge and hopefully be able to add value to the company with its certifications.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, my dear, I don't want to spend more time on your family, your lovely family. So tell us where we can find you.
LinkedIn is the best place. Like everybody probably says, I mean, it's such a fantastic network. So just search the name just as it appears on your screen, Amanda Joe. Joe is in quotes, and Erven on LinkedIn, and connect with me.
Perfect. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank
It was
you so much.
a truly pleasure to be here with you. It's a honor. And thank you for doing a lot for the community, for the certified field examiners community, for the students. Everything that you do with the field retreat is amazing. And I am pretty sure that we are going to have you with this event for many, many years. And hopefully still in the size.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, don't fight. No. Don't look for a bigger place.
Okay. Good point.
No. Okay. Don't go to a casino. No.
Yeah. Oh, no. Would never happen. Awesome.
Okay, my dear. Thank you so much. And then you, once we finish the program, you can repost it and add your information for people if they want to talk to you. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. It's great to see you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Bye-bye.